what we have done on our end. One thing I want to stress is we in law enforcement find it very difficult to actually launch an investigation when there's actually no complainants that come forward. So that does challenge us in this process with this time. We can't investigate from media reports, we can't investigate from social media reports, but what we wanted to do is take the 5 points that the University of Iowa laid out for us and go ahead and at least look at those based on what we could. One of the things that was missing from that was the what, where, when, how the incidents occurred. So we could only go based on the limited information that we had in these. However, we wanted to look forward and see what else we could find and see if there was any details that would assist us in figuring out what actually transpired on that day. Well, we went out and we interviewed the police officers who were working. We had a number of police officers. We have very detailed plans on the security and safety that we put into the stadium and the operations of the day. Reviewed every piece of information that was out there available to us that was here that we could go through. Reached out to my counterpart at the University of Iowa just to make sure, hey, do you have anything new that's come forward? He was able to reiterate to me the same 5 points that the athletic director had given. I've been in constant contact with the University of Iowa Police to make sure that if anything comes in, that we're prepared to respond to that, and we would launch an investigation as soon as a complainant were to come forward on that. What I do know is the University of Iowa had 4 police officers with the band. Not any of those officers reported any incidents to us. We checked in with those officers throughout the day. I had staff that would go up and meet with them. They did confirm that during the game there were some fans that were heckling, which we would expect sometimes happens, unfortunately. But those officers went and talked to those fans and were able to get those fans to stop their behaviors. One of the incidents that really stuck out was that the exiting of the band. And you heard a description of how that looked and how the band exited. They were marching in formation, they were playing their instruments, they were playing the Hawkeye Fight song, and they were going through a crowd of 1,000 plus people. It was just shoulder to shoulder during that time. I did have officers in that area besides the 4 officers that were with the band. I have spoken with those officers. The officers had said there was a skirmish that kind of broke out, and their description of a skirmish was there was some pushing and shoving because they were pushing the backs of people as they marched aggressively out of the stadium. They were marching faster than the people can walk in that area, to give you a little bit of a visual, and playing their instruments. The officers immediately recognized that there was some pushing and shoving, and they responded to that, and they went in to make sure that the band could safely exit the area. They were thanked by some of the band members, some of the cheerleaders for being there, and then they helped get them back to their bus. During that time, not a single individual reported any, from the band, reported any confrontation to the law enforcement officers. Following that, the University of Iowa police officer did go on the buses and was with the band, and nobody reported any incidents to that officer. And I've confirmed that. I talked with my colleague at the University of Iowa last night. We're cooperating, talking with each other every day, trying to figure out what we can do in this case. What I do know is there's been no people that have come forward as of this morning to report anything to us. We deeply care. We want somebody to come forward. Please tell us. If you tell us, we will investigate to the fullest, and we will make sure that we try to find those responsible for any incident that did happen. The area was very congested. That's the only thing I could go off on this at this point. We did look at all the other points that were brought out, and we really, until somebody comes forward, there's nothing else that we can do on an investigation at this point. And at this point, we'll take